Let's go. Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan. I'm from California.
Michael.
From where?
I'm Tora. I'm from Japan.
And I'm Molly from South Korea.
I'm Yoshi from India.
Our theme was technology, cities, and accessibility. And our topic that we focused on was automobile microplastic pollution. So we're in this big city of Tokyo, and in Japan, especially Tokyo, they've already come up with so many solutions to many different problems. So we were just kind of thinking, what is something that is like not considered a big problem yet, that is still a big threat? And we came to the conclusion of microplastics, specifically how the microplastics that fall from like the tires, from cars and trucks and all that, and these particles end up in not only are on the road but also into the surrounding environment, harming local wildlife and eventually polluting our oceans and ecosystems. And some data is every week, the average human consumes 5 grams of microplastics, which is equivalent to a credit card. So basically, you're eating a credit card's worth of plastic every single week. Um, and we had 6 members for when we went to investigate like the problem of microplastics, and that's a beautiful picture of our sensei Kohei. I don't know where he is, but and tire wear contributes to about 28% of global microplastic pollution. And this continuing is how tires contribute to microplastic pollution. Sorry. So every year, billions of vehicles worldwide shed around 6 million tons of tire fragments. And that generates to about 28% of all microplastics entering global environments. And they cause malnutrition of marine wildlife and DNA damage, and can also increase the potency of toxic chemicals. Here are some pictures of our street interviews. There we went to the Bridgestone Museum where Tora was talking to some museum staff, and she explained kind of what Bridgestone, the tire company was kind of doing for their research on microplastics. And the next picture is Tora talking to children. He was interviewing them. And next picture is me trying to use my Japanese to interview a mom and a child. And here's some other pictures. And continuing with Tora.
Just to clarify, I was not talking to the children and asking them if they used a car to go to school. I asked the mother if she went to work with a car. She used the train. So this is the result of the interviews we conducted. So as this pie chart says, you can tell that most people use bicycles or trains in Japan. And I'm pretty sure most of you are aware that Tokyo is a very public transportation or light vehicle, like bicycle-centered society. And a lot of people also use walking. So we did discover that most people use trains or bicycles to go to work. Yet, this is a question that we didn't have a pie chart for, but we also learned that most people we interviewed were not aware of the problem or the impact of microplastics at all. And I'm pretty sure most people in this classroom probably knew something about microplastics, at least heard about it in schools. But a lot of people that are living their daily lives in Japan have not heard of this issue. So it's likely that this is a very recent issue that popped up. Furthermore, in a research paper from Science Direct, it was noted that this was and that only 26% of the approximately 500 people that they interviewed were aware of microplastics. So through these interviews and through this research, we discovered 3 main issues. First of all, people don't know about microplastics very much. Second, no solution for microplastics from automobiles have been discovered. Through an interview to the person who worked at Bridgestone, she talked about how they've been conducting research about this issue, but they haven't been able to figure out this solution for this issue. This is not just for Bridgestone, it's for the other companies that they've been working with. Lastly, this ends up continuing the release of microplastics into oceans and rivers, and it causes this cycle of people not knowing the issue, but they keep on getting damaged and hurt by this without even knowing. I'd like to let Michael take away the solution.
So our approach to this problem is, first, like our main kind of objective at this point is to raise awareness because of how people do not know about microplastics, especially coming off from tires. So what we came up with is using UV LED lights because they can make microplastics show like those pictures over there. Like you can tell that they're microplastics from the light. So what we're trying to do is putting the UV lights somewhere around the streets, beside the streets, flashing on the floor. So when people walk by or cars go by, they can look at the floor and then just kind of realize that there are a lot of microplastics on the ground, and then this is an issue. So then this would gain awareness and then kind of support our project to like further improvements, um, and further awareness. So we have more support from the public to continue on our research.
So specifically, I will be discussing about our prototype 1 and 2. And before I jump into our finalized prototype, I would like to tell you guys about how we really developed our ideas. So again, our mission was to raise an awareness about the microplastics, and we figured out that UV LED lights illuminate microplastics, which includes plastics, and we wanted to include this bridge idea. So what we came up with was that constructing a glass walkway pedestrian bridge, and we would like to name it as a road beneath. So what this is basically there is a glasswell bridge, and there will be a tire particles and microplastics right underneath the glass, so that the tourists or just pedestrians, while they were walking, they would be able to notice those microplastics and be really aware of this issue. So what we further came up with was to add like signs or posters about microplastics around the bridge, which would be in both English and Japanese. And also what we were kind of concerned about was the lighting. As cars would be passing right underneath the bridge, we thought it would disturb them. So we decided to install the lightings like on the side of the bridge so that it won't be top to bottom. And also just for like to make it clear that it won't disturb the lights, we considered to cover the very bottom of the bridge with black covers, as black absorbs all the UV LED lights. Yeah.
They skipped it. It was lagging. Oh, okay. We're going, okay.
And this is our second prototype. So this is really about, in addition to prototype 1, it will be about the normal streets. So again, the lights for this would be UV LED lights, and what it shines would basically be the microplastics, dust, like tire particles, so that when people would just walk the street, they would be able to notice it. And also it would help for the drivers as there will be lots of lights.
Our solution timeline starts off with implementing the UV LED lights on one of like the traverse bridges, and this will be like the primary method of raising awareness. That's going to be our first step, and after like raising some more awareness about the issue, because many people don't know about the rising problem of microplastics, as Tora mentioned. And after we're able to like gain some traction about the issue, we will be like trying to implement the lights onto the curbs of every street, so people who are passing by can also notice the impact that microplastics are having on the environment. And for the future endeavors, we'll try to implement the sewage water filtration system. When we went to the museum, we found out that right now it's not possible to sift out microplastics from sewage water because they're like so small, and like I don't know if you guys know this, but toilet paper dissolves in Tokyo, and those small particles get mixed up the microplastics, and it gets like really hard to like sift them out of the sewage water. And this is something that they've been trying for like many years, but that's something we hope to like try and research more into the future.
Yeah.
Right. This was what I was talking about. Currently, we do not have a technology to like filter out microplastics from liquids. And the research and development occurring around this, and there is some research and development occurring around this topic. And some solutions offer like mixing in some catalysts, like separated according to weight, and that's like one way. And there is magnetic separation, but this all requires too much time and like resources. And there is no like efficient method of doing this right now.
And here are just some of the sources that we got. One of the websites is the Bridgestone Innovation Gallery, which is a museum we went to. If you want to check them out, you could find some more information on our topic.
That's it.
And thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Itai?
I like to. So my first one is why would you spend so much money on raising awareness of this issue when you could just further the development of your final solution? Like, what's the point of the first solution?
Because we need funds, first of all, and then UV LEDs are not as expensive as you think.
Or like this glass bridge.
That's one of our prototypes, right? And then the thing is, what we want to do is to raise awareness. This is not, well, this is we kind of started this, but this is not our job. The government should also be involved in it because this is the government's responsibility to citizens and residents in the city. So then what we're trying to do is raise awareness and be part of like kind of asking for funds.
And like I think Toro said it earlier, there's only like 20% of people know that there is like the microplastics problem. And during our interviews too, when we asked the questions, for me personally, when I asked the mother and the child, she didn't know about the microplastics problem. And I think the main thing we have to do right now is first spread awareness. And after people like realize that there's this problem, that this is like in the oceans, in our like drinking water and all that, it's kind of they'll try to start like finding a solution.
And like won't that like incite like fear, for example? My brother knows about microplastics and he won't even drink out of like a plastic water bottle or anything, even like after sports, he just won't drink anything. Really drink apple water now. So won't this incite fear and make it like fearful to even walk on the street?
That's how we can fix the problem.
So those kinds of issues do arise, but the important thing about our project is that we need to increase awareness of the issue in the first place, because the researchers over at Bridgestone, they said they've been researching on it and they've been looking for a solution, but there are definitely solutions to figuring this out. The tires, it's mostly about the outside of the tires, and they need to make it so that they have a technology so that that thing can be biodegradable, or it's something that's not like polymers, oils, basically. So the lack of awareness of the public is leading to the cycle of Bridgestone being able to push back on these solutions and not have to solve them until something bad happens. That's what happens in most of like society's issues. So we want to be able to raise this issue early on so that before anybody gets like really hurt or there's like severe health issues. Sure, I'm understanding of the issues that like people being scared of this, but I think it's going to be similar to most issues. And we just need to raise it early on so that we can actually solve it before something really bad happens.
You're being like a very practical thing, right? Where it's the road and then people see. What about if you were to take it on sort of a smaller scale, pair with maybe like local artists and find some way? I think that maybe that would be kind of a compromise of instead of having to build an entire road, like maybe you could have some sort of, I don't know, art installation. So I don't want to say like scale it down, but I just think like maybe have you thought about taking it in a different direction, I suppose?
I think that is a very good idea. And I think that can be like a certain solution, but like on the roads, that's kind of to all audiences, not just like the people who like art. And I think spreading awareness to just like kids and adults and everyone in general is also really important. Not just I mean, we could also expand to not only art and other kind of forms of entertainment or stuff like that. But I think having it on roads especially is like everyday people just see that and like, oh, what is that? and maybe like they'll go search it up online. Why is like the road glowing with like certain random specks of something, and that would lead them to like the investigation of microplastics and eventually spreading awareness even more. But I certainly think that is a very good idea.
Yeah, and we also think, I also think artworks, like some people would try to see and be interested in what types of arts there are, but I believe lots of people just kind of disregard or like just pass by, and yeah, they just live their own kind of life. But then the road beneath, I believe this would also create lots of tourist attraction, and this can be also be broadcasted, and yeah, I believe it can be featured in like news or online, so that it can actually raise a big awareness.
I suppose so. I think we just kind of circle back to Itai's problem is why spend all this money raising awareness when you can just donate directly to research?
Would you go out and search up research papers to look specifically at microplastics? Or do you think it would be more effective if everyone's sitting on the road? I don't think everyone will look up research about this, right? And then even if it, yeah, but yeah, the thing is, I don't think like all of us have looked at Sanford's paper on research on this, but if we put on a road, everyone who passes the road would see this, right? This is because donating, because what we want is awareness from people, which then leads to not only awareness, but also funds and attentions from more and more people, and then this would eventually contribute to like research papers, not only to us, but also maybe to them, because this is more aware of by the public. Lucas.
So I think I like this solution because it's and it weighs into daily life, and I think that that's pretty neat. But for prototype two, I don't know if you guys have considered it, but I feel like I don't know if it's completely right, but like I'm pretty sure that like UV light can have some like problems, like sometimes cause like some low grade burns and stuff. And like for people who have like sensitive skin, for example, I feel like it pose a problem, especially like a child who might not know that it's a problem. So for example, I know that like Magali got like sensitive skin, so I don't know if like for people with those kinds of conditions it could be a problem. So I don't know if I like prototype one. That's what I'm saying. Like, have you guys considered the possible like
We've considered
Okay,
similar
that.
issues. That's the thing is how it works is it won't shine like mostly on your skin because you're wearing shoes, right? It's like on the side, shining towards like between the roads. But that is definitely one of the concerns. Maybe people are wearing sandals, you know. But that's why we need funds and further investigations to this topic, right? Of what UV light is okay to use and what not. Because like I showed, there's like 9 and more different types of UV lights that shows different types of microplastics, right?
So for the safety part specifically, when you see like, I think if you see a road, you can tell that it's kind of tilted. Like if there's a road here, road, it's kind of tilted from the center a little bit, and then there's like this little gap, and then there's like the drains over here, and then there's a little bit of like a gap. That's the part we're planning to put the light on. So it's not going to be directly on the sidewalk, so that if you're walking and if you're wearing like sandals or something that's like too thin and could possibly cause a burn, then it wouldn't be like directly hitting. It would be facing inwards towards the road. So for pedestrians walking, that's the kind of way we plan.
Okay, so I really like this idea. It's really creative, and I also think it's better. I mean, I think artworks, if you don't have quite a lot of like knowledge about this specific topic, you wouldn't really go to these artworks. So I think having it in the city, you can just like go through it, coincidentally or something. So I think it's a really good idea, but UV LED lights are very, very harmful for wildlife. And I know now, at first I thought since like, it's a lamp, it can hurt like bats or birds. But even if it's, near your feet, it could harm insects. what, do you have anything you're thinking about this problem?
So for regarding the environment, if it's in a very city-like area, for example, like when we thought of bridge, the first pedestrian bridge we thought of was the one that's right outside over near the company. That bridge is like very big, it's in a very central area, and I'm pretty sure you could tell that there's a relatively low amount of like wildlife around here. So we just probably didn't think of that issue, but we don't plan to implement this like everywhere
Yeah.
in Tokyo. That's gonna be like incredible cost. This is gonna be a prototype. We're gonna establish it first, see what happens, and then through the fieldwork we'll understand. So we'll consider that issue definitely if we implement it into like more outside rural areas. But in the case of Tokyo, we don't think it'll be as much of an issue because lack of wildlife. Thank you.
This is my last question. So your main goal is to get government's attention, right? And I'm wondering how you build the bridge.
We're getting everyone's attention, not only the government. Building the bridge, we obviously would, well, we're only doing prototype right now. We don't consider so many problems. It's only a proposal. But I would believe that we would probably need government consent and all that stuff. We got one more question over there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciated this because I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about microplastics. And I know that you guys were talking about like, research funding and consumers on like a macro level. But on like a micro level, is there the kind of knowledge part, right? The kind of awareness. Now that I'm aware, what would be kind of like a personal step or personal kind of something that I can with that awareness, like what can I do as one person living in Tokyo?
I feel like just like a simple thing, maybe just spreading awareness to your friends, your family, and eventually after like many people know, I feel like as a collective, we can go like talk to like the government or kind of just as a collective, we have to be like aware of the problem. If everyone thinks it's a problem, we will work towards it. But as of right now, it's kind of like humans in general. We don't solve a problem until it's like too harmful to us that we know it's there. And right now, microplastics is a big problem. It's like causing global warming, it's polluting our oceans, but we're just not aware of it yet. Once we are aware of all the harms that it's like causing, I think we'll try to start solving the problem even more as a collective, not just as like individuals. So I think an easy step is just telling friends and family about it and eventually having them tell their friends and family and how it spreads. And exactly.
I just want to make one final point. I want to clarify that our ultimate goal is not to raise awareness, it's to solve the problem. But raising awareness is our first step. So, because there's a lot of questions about awareness. The thing is, we want to solve the problem, not only awareness. We were thinking about the filtration system, like the Ash said. Because if there would be more funds going in, I think it would like at least make it faster, or make it more aware that people would care about adding a filtration system to the sewage system, right? So yeah.
I forgot something. Wait, you talked about how we need to get you talked about the government and stuff like that. The thing is, a lot of the things around in Tokyo is generally run by the Tokyo metropolitan government. So including, for example, the fire services, the police department, most of those things are actually run by government taxpayer money. So we would need their support and we need their permission to change one of those bridges so that it's able to use those kinds of lights. So that's the reason why we also need government support. But then we would also need broad public support because we'd be using taxpayer money in that case. Or changing laws regarding taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I like the ideas and I don't know how reliable it is, but I saw government report saying that 18% of microplastics are just going to river directly, these are going to sewage. So how do you want to solve that issue? Any potential solution for that?
There is a potential solution, but people are doing research on this topic, especially when we went to the sewage treatment museum. We found out that right now it's not possible to filter out the microplastics from the liquids because they're mixed in with many other smaller particles such as toilet paper and other stuff. And people are doing research on this topic, but it can only be more feasible in the future after we raise awareness about the topic and people realize how big of an issue it is.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.